Hello, I'm Donald Leggett and welcome to this edition of Share Views, brought to you by London South East. Our guest today is Colin Hutchinson, Chief Executive of Ascent Resources, and he's here to update us on what's been happening with production in Slovenia. Welcome, Colin.
Hi, Donald. Great to be here.
You've been a busy boy?
Yeah, been fairly busy. Production's up and running in Slovenia, and we've been growing production now. We started in November with export production to Croatia. We grew that in December, and we've grown it again in January. So it's great to be up and running, to see the checks arriving into the bank account, and to be profitable.
So what has your focus been? Have you been trying to stabilise production?
Yeah, I mean, getting the first two wells up and running. December we had them both in continuous for the month of January. They've been in continuous production, which has been very good. We've seen production increase from month on month, so that's really been the focus, just to get everything up and running. And then we've had the checks arriving in from MENA as well. So it's just been about getting the initial processes ready, monitoring the wells to see how production's going, see how the reservoirs are behaving, and really trying to increase things as much as we can.
And if we were to be granular, how much gas have you been producing, and how much money have you been paid for producing it?
I think we already announced there at the beginning of the month that we produced about 2.1 million cubic feet a day during November, and that went up to 2.3 million cubic feet a day in December, and that'll have increased again in January. We received about €300,000 for what we produced in November. We'll receive a bit more than that for December, obviously, and a bit more than that again for January. So it's been increasing. The receipts for December revenue should be coming through in the next few days. So it's all good.
And more than that, some terrific news on the gas processing plant front.
Yeah, I mean, that was really good news. In November, we got the court decision in our favour, which was really the last significant hurdle before we get the IPPC permit awarded. So the court ruled in our favour, and not only did they rule in our favour, they have taken the participant who's been objecting to this the whole time has now been taken out of the process, so we can't object any further. We've been a little bit frustrated because we were expecting then the Environment Agency to communicate with us straight away, tell us what else needed to be done, and then award the permit. They've taken their time. We had a meeting with them last week to try and move things along a bit. We're expecting them to come back and ask us for an additional sort of soil study, which we're already doing. We'll give that to them, and then they'll give us the permit. So it's a great decision in November. The court also have been a bit slow since then, but the big news is that
Slovenian bureaucracy. We're getting used to this.
I think there's bureaucracy everywhere. You know,
we're getting used to this, Colin. Yeah.
So it has moved a bit more slowly than we'd have hoped, but the good news is, I mean, the permit isn't needed for production to Croatia. We're up and running, we're producing. The permit's needed when we build a plant in Petasovci, and that's obviously some way in the future. So
what's your timeline for the building of that plant?
The building of the plant, we should have the permit coming through in the next month or so, I would hope. It takes about 12 months to build the plant, but we'll not push the button straight away. The goal is to grow production and to add additional wells. So we're producing at the minute from PG10 and PG11A. There's 7 other wells within the concession area, old wells, which have produced from the PG sands in the past, and we'll start to re-enter those in turn. So the first 2 up will be PG7 and PG9. We've got all the documentation prepared for those, ready to submit to get the permits to re-enter those wells. So hopefully around this time next year, we're getting ready to re-enter additional wells and to increase production then. So we're producing sort of 2 to 3 million cubic feet a day for most of this year. We'll then hope to step that up so we can get up to 10 and 20, and then that's when you're in the region, in the realm of needing the processing plant. So once we've got another 2 wells into production, then you'd be pushing ahead with the processing plant. Then you'd be adding, so we'll add 7 and 9 next year. The following year we'll probably add PG6 and PG8. So you're building your production up, and then you've got the plant so you can produce into the Slovenian grid, or we continue to produce to Croatia as well, depending on how the price.
So you've already got a plan in place?
So yeah, I mean, there is a fairly detailed plan. We've got the wells marked out that we need to go into. We've got the project documentation done for the first 2 targets, and we've done all the work on the plant, so we're ready to hit the button on the plant once the permits are through and once we have the sort of production ready to justify it.
And how do you fund the processing plant? You were talking, last time I met, we were talking about a debt facility.
Yeah.
Is that still the plan?
Yeah, I mean, we've had bank debt in the past for the plant. Back whenever I first joined the company, there was a loan in place, or an offer in place from BNP Paribas, which would have funded the plant. And it's certainly something which should be either bank debt or possibly sort of vendor finance. So I've spoken to a couple of potential suppliers for the plant, and they'd be willing to sort of construct the plant and then take the money out of the revenues once you're up and running. So no equity, or very little equity required, I think, for the plant.
So you've given me a very clear outline of your strategy there, but the share price isn't reacting enormously positively to that clearer strategy.
Yeah.
What underlies that, do you think?
I'm quite baffled by what's happened with the share price.
Me too, if I may say.
Yeah, when we started producing at the beginning of November, we've significantly de-risked the company, and the share price just hasn't responded. We've increased production from November into December, and will increase again in January. So I'm hoping that eventually the share price catches up. We're now an AIM-listed oil and gas company, which is profitable, producing profitable and generating cash flow.
And there aren't many of those, are there?
No, we are in the minority there, and we have a plan to not just. There's a huge amount of potential within the field, so we're only scratching the surface now. Every month we produce, we validate the business plan, so the sort of discounted cash flow valuation of the field, according to my spreadsheets, is about 200 million sterling. Our WH Ireland have come up with their own numbers, which are a little bit less than that, but still it's a fairly significant asset we have. So yes, every month we're producing, we're verifying that that is achievable. So there's a huge amount of value for the company to take from the deep gas where we're producing from at the minute. And
what does your shareholder base consist of at the moment?
We're a retail-owned company. We've no institutions. We did have institutions in the past, but now we're 100% retail-owned, which I think is great for whenever the share price is going up. It can give a lot of momentum, and maybe at the moment that's a reason that we're seeing the share price drift.
Do you think that the PIs have been taking profits?
I think whenever there's no institution there's no one to mop up whenever the volumes are low. So that maybe is a reason why the share price has drifted a little bit.
Would you like to introduce some institutional shareholders, just in case any of them are watching?
Well, I mean, they can buy shares in the market at any time. So we have spoken to institutions and given them presentations and updated them on what the company's doing. And I think as we continue to grow production and deliver on what we say we're going to do, then people should sit up and take notice.
Indeed. You're speaking at an oil conference tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm presenting at the Oil Barrel, or Oil Capital, whatever they're called now.
Oil
tomorrow.
Capital.
Oil Capital.
It should be called Oil Barrel, though. That's a better name.
Well, yeah, I don't know where I got that from. Yeah, presenting there tomorrow to go through the field development plan. So what I said, how we get from our 2 or 3 million cubic feet a day up to sort of 35 million cubic feet a day, how we sort of extract the value from the deep gas and the other things that we have planned and we'd like to do with the field and elsewhere.
Deep breath, Colin. What are your major milestones for the next 24 months?
For the next 24 months, wow.
24 months, yeah. Last question.
To increase production from Pedasovci, quite simply, to get ourselves at least double where we are at the minute. So we look to add 2 more wells early next year. We should, within 24 months, the plant, processing plant should be well underway, and we should be producing a fairly meaningful quantity of gas and generating cash and generating returns for shareholders.
Colin Hutchinson, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Donald.
And thanks to you for watching.